Hey, in this video, I'm gonna be sharing my testimony of how I actually chose my boyfriend over God. Not an easy testimony to share, but I really think it might help some of you out there in your own journey, so stick around. Hey, my name is Titania Page from Purpose and Purity. Around here, I help women live from joy and peace as they surrender their soul and sexuality to God. And on this channel, I make Bible study videos and practical lifestyle videos like this one too. So if that's what you need, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And if you find this testimony helpful to you, go ahead and hit the like button as well after you listen. Okay. Let's just get into it then. So when I was younger, my mom raised us. She was a single parent and she did a great job. I love my mom and I love my mom a lot, which is why when a lot of times we went through things with relatives and family members who had like addiction problems and stuff like that, I just thought, well, okay, if I can become as less of a burden to my family as possible, that'd be great. So if I can get good grades, get scholarships, if I can just be a very capable person, a very competent person, then I'll be able to not make a lot of trouble for my family, and also hopefully in the future have my own family where there's a mom and a dad and kids together. The whole family is like complete and whole, and we'll have like great relationships and good financial situation, all that good stuff, right? So my goal was basically trying to be this excellent person and secure this great life for myself. And so that's what I did. I went through school, tried to get best grades, try to win different competitions and participate in all these different programs so that I could have this great life. By the time I got to my junior year in the summer, I went to a school called Tech for a governor's school program. It's like a special summer program for people because, I was trying to do all of the things. And so when I went there for the first time, up until then, I had been going to church. I had been even serving at church. But it was almost like I had an affinity for Jesus, but my life was not surrendered to Jesus. And so I was introduced by a mentor from that program to this church called The River. And they had a college ministry as well. But when I went to that church, what impressed me the most is that I saw that people were authentically, like, really trying to live for Jesus, like 100%. And I had never seen that in my life until that time. And so I really just kind of kept that in the back of my mind and thought, wow, that was a great church. I hope I can go there again one day. And so the end of high school came, and I had met this guy, I'm going to call him Jack. I had met Jack, and I just fell so in love with Jack. I thought he was going to be my husband, like, without a doubt. I went through this hardship because I only applied to this one school because I was super arrogant, because I was like, I had all these achievements, and I thought I'm going to definitely get a scholarship to the school of my choice, right? Wrong. And so the only way to satisfy my ego and my just depression at the thought was to go back to Tech, where I had got some credits in the summer, right, from governor's school. But the thing was, my boyfriend was just so happened to also want to go to Tech. And so for me, in my mind, it was like, oh yeah, it's not a problem. The Lord is just working out this wonderful plan that I have for us to get married and for us to start a family and to be successful young adults in the world, blah, blah, blah. We got to the school, and I actually had to stop and go join the Tennessee National Guard to pay for my school. So it was a lot that happened between coming from high school into college. And my relationship with Jack was still really great. And so because we had gone through so many things, I was just absolutely convinced without a doubt, like, we're going to get married. It's not even a question in my mind. When sex became a thing or a question, I was like, you know what? I I'll go ahead and do this because of course we're gonna get married. It's like no brainer. We've been through so much. Why wouldn't we get married? And so, for better or for worse in our relationship, I just felt like all my emotional needs were getting met through that. And that was the place where our relationship was that place where I felt like I was valuable or I meant something to somebody, or like I finally found that connection that I wanted when I was a kid, in my family life that I didn't get to have, that it was there. I felt like finally, even though it wasn't always a mountaintop experience, it felt like, wow, this is it. And so we got in college, and because I was a spiritual person, I was like, well, I'm in college, but I still need to keep going to church, right? So I went back to that church that I went to where people were really trying to live for Jesus. And as I kept going, I actually started to learn more about who Jesus actually is and what it means to follow him. And one of the things that attracted me to relationship with Jesus was not only that, how can I say, not only like that ticket to heaven kind of deal, but that Jesus actually loved you where you are and wanted to have a real relationship with you. But as I began to understand more about the Bible and compared it to my own life, I was like, hold on, that's not my life. I'm not really living for Jesus. I'm just kind of like doing good on Sunday and hoping I don't do too much bad Monday through Saturday. It took this situation where we were planning out this event together to, I was baking cupcakes and stuff. We were having some special event at the college ministry. This janitor came up to us while we were in the community center, just minding our own business, and started yelling at us and saying we didn't belong there. Like, you got to get out right now. And I mean, he was talking to us like we were animals. I said something back to him. I don't know what I said. But by the time I was done, my friends were like, Nia, we don't act like that. We don't do that. And I was like, but he started it. And she's like, one of my friends in particular, she's like, no, Nia, that is not, Christ-like. That's not how we, represent Christ even in this situation. That was not my, I didn't even think about how I might be portraying Christ through that, So it really convicted me. And I think it was like that final push that helped me see that my life was not, I wasn't good with Jesus. My life was not where I thought it was spiritually. And I had this desire to really want to know Jesus for real, to really give my life to Christ. And of course, the first person who's going to hear about that is Jack. And so I ran back home to Jack and I was like, hey, I want to live my life for Christ for real. I know we got this thing going on, this whole relationship going on. And I kind of want us to just kind of step back a little bit and really try to live for the Lord. So can you do that? Does it sound like, something we want to do together? And he was like, no, I'm good. I don't want to do that. And I was just like, what? But you go to church with me? And he was like, I only go to church because you like going to church. And I'm like, so you don't believe Jesus died and all that stuff? He's like, nope. And I was just like, wow. It wasn't like an indictment on him. It was it felt like an indictment on me because I was supposedly, I would, if you had asked me, I would tell you I was a Christian, but I didn't even know he wasn't a Christian. And so that really brought things home for me. Like, I'm not living the life for Jesus I thought I was. I really need to know him. You just instinctively know that sometimes, like, it's not going to be easy. And sometimes it's easier to believe, like, somebody that's holding you, like, in their arms, right? Sometimes that physical element of being with somebody, even if they don't have your best interest completely at heart, they don't really love you the way they should, sometimes it feels easier to believe than God's promises, right? And so do I really want to start this relationship with Jesus at the expense of this relationship with my boyfriend? I remember it was just this tug of war spiritually between even just the two of us of yay, nay, yay, nay. And it was like so difficult and so hard. And even though I tried to stay, I just feel like God, in his mercy, he was still calling me and still fighting for me, even though I had outright rejected him. Just turned it off. Like, no affection, no love. And I felt that. And so I was at that time, I was like one of those girls that says, okay, if you don't do right, I'm just going to break up with you. And he was like, well, maybe we should. And I was like, well, we will. And we broke up. And it was like, oh, it was over. And I was thinking, oh, it's not going to be a big deal. We're going to get back together. We went back and forth. And by the time the semester came, we had started hanging out again because I miss you and things like that. And it just like broke me. I like sunk so low. I remember walking home and just like, and it was like the most depressing day, y'all. Like, it was raining outside and the sky was gray. And I remember in that moment, as I was walking home, I felt the Lord speak to my heart. I remember just him saying, Nia, you are so broken and you've been brought so low because you're seeking and looking for love from somebody who can't give it to you, But if you will trust me, I will show you love like you've never imagined that you could receive before. I will show you a love that you never thought possible for you to receive. Dang, number one, first off, God is talking to me. Like the guy who made everything, he's speaking to me. And then second of all, I'm like, Jesus, when you put it like that, it's kind of hard to say no. I mean, I ain't got nothing to lose. And so I said, yeah, okay. I said, yes, from this moment forward, I'm going to live for you. And so from that moment forward, that's when I committed myself to, sexual purity, to just trying to know more about who Jesus is and living for him. The hardest 6 months to a year of my life. Like, I went through depression, and it's like a paradox. Like, I was so depressed and sad and felt broken, but at the same time, I had never felt more closer to God or cared for by God than I ever had in my life. I was still depressed. I couldn't concentrate in school anymore, even though I loved school. I dropped out of school, lost my scholarships, and just started interning at the church because I felt like that's what the Lord was leading me to do. And really all I had, like, in the capacity to do. And so I did that, and God just took me on this journey. Like, when you get saved, God fills you with his spirit, and his spirit empowers you to want the things that Jesus wants for you and to do the things that that Jesus wants you to do. It's crazy. It's all I can say is it's supernatural that the Lord changes your heart and your affections. And my life has completely changed. But after I made the decision for Christ, sometime after that, I ended up being becoming a missionary in Japan. And I'll have to do a video on that as well. But I did that. Sometime after that, came back home. And between that time of being a missionary and coming back to Memphis, I was a missionary in Japan, I experienced a really bad church hurt, like a huge betrayal by leadership. And that was really hard for me to take in. And I'm telling you guys this because I want you to see, not that I'm trying to tell you a story with all the loose ends tied, but just that God is faithful. And so that was a really hard time for me because I had gave up so much to go and serve as a missionary, then had to come back and wrestle with the depression over this betrayal from my church leadership, on top of still trying to get over this relationship that was broken before I got saved. I just remember being in such a dark place coming back from that, and y'all had to go back and live with my mom, and she was going through at the time with stuff at her house, so it was just difficult. I remember telling Jesus, like, God, I don't even understand. I feel like you led me out in the forest, in the fields to slaughter me. Like, you took me out of this place, brought me in the wilderness to let me die. Like, what are you doing? Like, I gave up everything to come and serve and be a missionary in Japan. And then all this stuff happened, and now I'm back here. And even now, all of that I went through is still worth it because you're worth it. But if you don't help me right now, I'm finna mess up. I mean, I'm talking about looking up old boyfriends on Facebook. And so I remember when I prayed and like cried out to God, his spirit, through his spirit, was just like, Nia, you wait. Just get to church this Sunday. Calm down, chill, wait. And so I decided that I'd wait until Sunday. I would go to church. And coming out of the church was this tall, handsome guy and this short other guy who probably is handsome in his own right, but I wasn't looking at him. And they were setting up for the church. And I was like walking. They noticed I was coming to the church. I was like, so where is the service? And he showed me around and things like that. And I remember thinking to myself, as I was walking to the sanctuary, ooh, that guy handsome. But I said, but I'm here for Jesus. I'm going to keep my focus on the Lord. But anyways, long story short, about 5 months later, me and said guy got married. And I could look back at from that time and realize like all that struggle and trials and coming back home early from Japan. At first it felt like some meaningless trial that I just went through. But then I could see then, that God had prepared the right timing for me to come back and meet my husband at that church. And not that a husband is the reward for coming to Jesus, but I'm telling you this because if you clicked on this video, you are probably going through the same situation. You feel like, man, maybe you have same-sex attraction. Man, I'm dating this girl, or I'm a guy dating this guy, and I love this relationship, and I feel at one in this relationship. I feel whole from this relationship. Or maybe you're a girl, you're dating your boyfriend, and you feel God calling you, but you're scared because if you let go of this relationship, you don't know. Or you feel like there won't be anything better for you, or like you're gonna miss out. You're not gonna ever experience the kind of love that you're looking for, seeking ever again. If that's you right now, if you're afraid to let go of one relationship, you're afraid to start that relationship with Jesus at the expense of another relationship. You don't have to have all the steps. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't even have to know at the end of the day what your life is going to look like right now. You don't have to know that. You just have to trust God, because God cares more for you than any man or woman on this planet cares for you. Like, he made you. He knows you intricately. He loves you. If you want to be satisfied by the Lord's love, he is not going to leave you hanging. You will be filled to the brim. And so I want to say, sharing my testimony to say that you can trust Jesus. You can trust him. He's trustworthy. He loves you. And that when you choose to surrender your life to him and to walk in the fullness of his design for your life, that you're going to discover the delights of your heart, those things that you're looking at, you're gonna get them, but not in the same way that you would when you try to manufacture everything on your own, when you try to get it for yourself. It's just so much better and so much sweeter because you have no idea what you don't know, but God knows what you need, and God's gonna give it to you if you choose to trust him. So I know my testimony is a little bit long, but I hope that you can kind of see my heart and where I'm encouraging you in this. And so go ahead and subscribe if this video helps you. If you want to hear more about My stories are studying the Bible with me. I'm going to be talking with my husband in the next video about how we met, and hopefully giving you guys some kind of some concepts to glean when you're looking for a spouse, and then also sharing about how you can grow in your relationship with God. All these different cool videos coming out. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button and like if this was helpful to you. Thanks so much for watching to the end. I can't wait to sit down at the table, join you next time. All right.